We live in a twilight world. This video, I think, is worth watching until the end. I'm usually very honest with people, and I'll say, you know, this is a shit video, take it or leave it. But this one here in particular, you should watch it till the end. It's going to make you laugh to yourself, as it did when I found it out, this information. So we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite boogeyman, Adolf Hitler. Yeah, these images on the screen here you're seeing is him rehearsing his theatrical body language for his theatrical hate speeches. Now, why would he be rehearsing theatrical body language for a theatrical hate speech? Because he is an actor on the world stage. Yeah, just like all of them, these characters that are front and center, acting as a psychopomp, steering humanity into a certain direction. If we look at today, you got Trump, Biden, Macron, Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and, you know, all the rest of them, yeah? World stage actors. Now, as you all probably know, Hitler came to power in 1933. Now, obviously, 1933 is a wink to Freemasonry. Freemasonry, of course, being the civilian arm of British intelligence. Yeah? Whereas the military intelligence is all about false flags, terrorist attacks, instigating war, manipulating and controlling the military industrial complex, deciding what war happens where. The civilian arm of military intelligence, or just the civilian arm of British intelligence, is the political stuff, right? Like what president you're going to have, what political ideologies are going to be pushed forward, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they've already selected who's going to be your president or prime minister, but of course they need to get you there. They need to make that bridge from one reality to the next, from one moment in time to the next. And of course, having Freemasons taking control of the politics in your country is the best way to do it. Of course, as well, if we look at the Freemasonry symbol, you can see a double cross. Yeah? So you've got 33 and you've got the double cross. The actual date that Hitler becomes the Chancellor of Germany is the 30th of January 1933. If you do this in numerology, the 30th of the 1st, 1933, it adds up to 20. 20 is, of course, XX in Roman numerals. We've got a double cross here once again. Hitler was, of course, a National Socialist. Yeah? This was the political ideology that was taking over Germany at the time, and their symbol, of course, being the swastika. Now, I'm sure you can see that if you clipped the wings and put them over here, you could make a double cross, right? I'll show you a little animation. It's terrible because I don't know how to do animations, but yeah, here's the best animation I have. The parody film that sort of mocks World War II, like a satirical version of World War II with Charlie Chaplin, they refer to the Nazis as the Empire of the Double Cross. Once again, wink wink, truth hidden in plain sight, Hollywood, casting spells and all this kind of stuff. He's also in this film. It's worth watching. It's called The Great Dictator. He's playing a dual role. He's also playing a Jewish barber who owns a barber shop, who's actually just come out of a hospital from a head injury from the First World War, and he's called Patient 33. Don't want to go too off track and talk about the film, but definitely worth watching. The Empire of the Double Cross. And talking of Jewish, a big part of World War II was, of course, the alleged prosecution and supposed murder of the Jewish people, which ultimately led to the State of Israel being created, which was a promise by the British Empire to the Jewish people. Of course, the symbol that belongs to the Jewish people is the Star of David. The Star of David, of course, contains the double cross. Now, anyone that's looked into, the archives of World War II and all the kind of back and forth between nations, you'll know that it was the British Empire that created World War II. Yeah, they engineered World War II. The reasons why they done that, well, we can only speculate. But my guess is they knew their time was up. They knew their empire was coming to an end. So instead of them fighting entropy, instead of them fighting their own death, they in fact engineered their own death on their terms, so they could create, the British Empire 2.0, which is of course the internet, and then handing all the military stuff over to the USA, Europe, China and Russia. Yeah. So that they could then become more of like a phantom empire that hides in the shadows. And like what Winston Churchill said, yeah, the future empire will be an empire of the mind. The British Empire is now things like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Netflix, the banking system, controlling who is and will not be president. And essentially, like I said, they're more focused now on intelligence and espionage and having double agents that are scattered all across the world. And of course, clandestine Operation Gladio style forces. Going back to how they originally were before they became the empire. A paramilitary democracy that hides in the shadows and it doesn't really want to be involved directly in a war, but likes to get two sides to fight each other, which essentially is what the double cross is all about. Of course, the flag, the Union flag, people call it the Union Jack, but it's actually called the Union flag. The Union Jack is the naval version. The Union Jack, of course, contains a double cross. And this is the biggest empire that ever existed, the most powerful empire that ever existed. And even if we fast forward to today, 2025, this is the phantom menace everyone is looking for. People think that the British Empire is dead. Yet again, that's an illusion operation that was created by World War II. These guys were actually controlling the Nazis. And of course, you all know what happened in regards to bringing the USA back into the British Empire and handing over all kind of like the dog's body work of having a huge military and having military bases all over the world. They don't want to be, the British don't want to, the empire doesn't really want to be involved with that. That's kind of for the lower ends of the empire to deal with now. So let me have a swig of my coffee, wet the whistle. But of course, who controls the British Empire? Yeah, now we're getting to the top of the pyramid. We've got the City of London. Yeah, of course, the flag of the City of London contains a double cross. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to Hitler. I've just got to lay down the foundations for anyone that's new, that isn't quite aware of the secret society behind all secret societies, the secret agency behind all secret agencies, the double cross, the XX. So yeah, man, City of London controls the British Empire. Clearly you can see a double cross. Who controls the City of London? Now we're at the top of the pyramid. The 20 Committee. Of course, 20 is XX in Roman numerals. Now, this is where I'm probably going to lose a few people, and people are just going to roll their eyes or just switch off. But I believe that the 20 committee are not human. They might look human, they might have a human body, but that's just a skin suit. Now we're looking at what you might call a vampire. Something that perhaps was a human at one point, but has now got an entity attached to them, or they have done some sort of whatever ritual or magic, some kind of magic ritual where they have now had their body taken over by either a demon or a jinn. D-J-I-N-N. Yeah? Creatures that are from the other side and that have a issue with human beings and think it is their right to control human beings, because at the end of the day they are trapped here in the earth realm forever, whereas we transcend, they don't. So that's why they want to control everything so it suits them. Yeah? I guess the Christians would call this satanic in nature. Maybe the head of the 20 committee is Satan or Azazel, the jinn who sits amongst angels. I don't know. But for the longest time, yeah, these people that are running the British Empire, the people that are running the City of London, have been communicating with the other side, yeah, with shadow beings, whatever you want to call them, fallen angels, whatever language you want to use, yeah. Things like John Dee, when he was using the obsidian black scrying mirror and talking to an entity and getting technology sent to him, and essentially the City of London is able to, I don't know how exactly, but know the future and therefore know what moves to make on the chessboard. Now, are they good? Are they bad? I don't know yet. You never know, because sometimes goodness is hidden behind the mask of evil, right? Looking at the long game. I mean, think about your life. All those times that were horrendous in that moment, but looking back, yeah, you realise that it was the best thing that ever happened to you, that horrendous moment, because it's led you to better things and to where you are now. So, I don't know. Of course, as well, 20 is XX. XX is 10, 10. Yeah? X is 10 in Roman numerals. When we say 10, 10, we get tenant. Yeah? And if you've seen the film Tenant, it's all about going forwards and backwards in time, preventing nuclear bombs from going off and so on. So you never know. These vampires, although they might seem like they're horrible bastards, maybe they are day in, day out stopping really awful things happening, and maybe they engineered World War II for a reason, because it stopped something far greater. Who knows? Maybe there was a version of our timeline where humanity ended, and the only way to stop it was for these guys to create World War II. I don't know. It's all speculation. The head of the 20 committee in those days in World War II was this guy, a guy called J.C. Masterman, as in like master of men. I believe that J.C. Masterman was also playing the role of Adolf Hitler. It's the same person. A bit like in the film I mentioned earlier, The Great Dictator with Charlie Chaplin, where he's playing the parody version of Hitler, he's also playing a Jewish barber. Yeah? You often see this in Hollywood films, one actor playing two roles. So, you know, a guy that's the head of the British intelligence agency is also the head of the Weimar Republic, the Nazi Party, Adolf Hitler, same person. J.C. Masterman, Master of Men. Yes, John Cecil. I also believe that he is John Cecil Rhodes. I also believe that he is Julius Caesar. I also believe that he is playing the role of Jesus Christ. Yeah? Of course, I'm saying that in the aspect of Jesus Christ being a character created by Joe of Arimathea as to create the Abrahamic religions and so on and so on. But just before any Christians get angry and start sending me hate letters and stuff, yeah? I don't know what, I don't know what really did or did happen. This is all speculation. All I know is I know nothing. Everything I'm saying is for entertainment purposes, and so on and so on, yeah? So that's J.C. Masterman. I believe he played the role of Adolf Hitler. Same person, yeah? All it takes is the fake beard, a prosthetic nose, the hair cut in a different way, and there you have it, the same person. Actors. Yeah. Also, you've got to remember that, if he has had an entity installed inside of his body, had his inner flame put out and replaced with a jinn or a demon, the ability to slightly shapeshift and alter his face wouldn't be hard to do now, would it? Now, back to Hitler and the year 1933. About a month after Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, the Parliament building, which is called the Reichstag building, Reichstag just is the German word for parliament, was burnt down in an arson attack, yeah? So the Parliament building, the Reichstag building was burnt down. I think it was the 27th of February, so about a month, yeah, after Hitler became Chancellor. Now, of course, with the Reichstag building burnt down, they had to find a new building to do all of their speeches and so on. Yeah? Can anyone guess what type of building the Nazi Party, Hitler and his boys, the Reichstag, the Parliament of Nazi Germany moved to? What type of building do you think it was? Yep, you guessed it, an opera house. Specifically the Kroll Opera House across the road. From 1933 to 1942, the main years of Hitler and the Nazi Party and World War II, they were operating from an opera house. Yeah? Why? Because it is all theatre. They are all actors. So all of them world famous hate speeches that you've seen were all in the Kroll Opera House. Unbelievable, right? Like, you could not make this shit up, yeah? It is all theatre within the op era. And just to remind people, the famous book burning event that happened in Germany, yeah, a big, obviously, event, world stage theatre, happened outside the Berlin Opera House. This is where all the German people allegedly were burning Jewish books in public, right? This was after the Night of Broken Glass, I think. Here's a picture of the inside. The famous Hitler speeches, yeah? Incredible. All taken place in an opera house. This is hilarious, man. It's like whatever we live in, this matrix, this false reality, it does have a sense of humor. We live in a twilight world. There are no friends at dusk.